All right, if you want to grab a seat, I think we're going to get started. Welcome. Thanks for coming out on a beautiful fall day or end of summer, this kind of transitional season. I just want you to know, my name is Kirsten Shedd. I'm the program director for the Interfaith Earth Network, which is a program of the Interfaith Conference of Greater Milwaukee. And we are here today for Why Green Burial. And if you're not here for Why Green Burial, just a heads up, that's what we're talking about. If you missed the registration table and snuck in one of our other beautiful entrances, please be sure to go back and register at some point so that we like to keep track of how many people we had, and we can put you on our mailing list and let you know about other upcoming events. As the day progresses here, we're going to be rolling through a number of different speakers. There's going to be a documentary film screening, there'll be a keynote and some question and answer. There'll be some breaks throughout, but feel free there's restrooms in the main area, there's refreshments in the back, and this back door is open, and you are free to go out and walk around the pond if you feel you need a little bit of fresh air. Just try to keep the noise in this room to a minimum so that people who are listening don't get distracted. So Why Green Burial? World Faith Practices and Sustainable Options is our program for today. And I am here just to open us up and to give us a little bit of an introduction before we bring up our other speakers. So I have an opening reflection here, and if you feel led, you can participate. And your portion is in bold, and it reads, "We give thanks this day." I'll read the non-bold portions, and hopefully work the PowerPoint at the same time. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, we give thanks this day. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, we give thanks this day. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, we give thanks this day. For our community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, we give thanks this day. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, we give thanks this day. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, we give thanks this day. For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, we give thanks this day. We pray that we may not live by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Welcome. So this event, as you may have seen in some of our email promotions or on the signs on the way in, is really inspired by the passing of a dear friend of ours, a founding member of the Interfaith Earth Network, Carol Westlovich. Last year, around this time, she was buried in a natural ceremony. She chose a natural burial at Prairie Home, I always mix up that up, Prairie Home Cemetery, which is the pictures up here. So we just want to take a moment and honor Carol and those who knew her and loved her, and also thank those who gave in memorial to her to the Interfaith Earth Network, and that is helping to provide this event.
Our pastoral care and our visiting of the sick is a very important value to us. So often we know what's happening as it's happening. For people who aren't so connected, they would call a funeral home. A Jewish funeral service is generally the singing of some psalms, Tehillim. Some of the ones that are of the feeling of thankfulness to God that we've had this life and now we will have these memories. Often accompanied by eulogies, by family members, friends, and the rabbi generally speaks, particularly if they knew the individual. When we go to inter, to bury the body, it is considered the highest mitzvah, the highest commandment of all, to accompany the dead to the grave, or to be part of a chevra kadisha, because this is something that person can't ever return back to you. Oh, sorry, my time was up. So feel free to ask me any questions afterwards.
Our next speaker, Bonnie Mayer, will be speaking on Native American traditions.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Get closer.
How's this? That's better. Okay. As she said, I'm Bonnie Meyer, and I'm a member of the Congregation of the Great Spirit. It's a Native American companion parish in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It allows the Native urban Indians to celebrate Catholic Mass while incorporating some of their very precious traditions and their traditions and their own ceremonies. Now, there's, over 580 tribes in the country here, and I don't know how most of them bury or honor their people that passed, but I can talk to you about what we do at the Congregation of the Great Spirit. And the Congregation of the Great Spirit, I think, as a rule, we look at the afterlife as something we really don't know. We believe there's going to be work to be done and that it's a journey. In fact, the Lakota people talk about how the spirits take care of those of us who are left behind. So the spirits have a job to do. Now, when we celebrate our All Saints, All Souls ceremony, because this will kind of give you a snapshot of how we celebrate the passing of an individual, we start, of course, with a sacred fire. Fire is very sacred in Native country, and it's very symbolic. You can see the symbolism. It's warmth. It's light for the journey. It goes up, which is what we think where we all go. And we also have, after the ceremony, what we call a ghost supper. Now, for that ghost supper, we're asked to bring food of somebody who has passed before us, a favorite food. For example, my father liked ring bologna, so I would bring a ring bologna. But all of these are designed to make us continue to keep up front people who've passed before us. They've given us life, they've set it for us, they've walked down there on another journey, now we're supporting them on their journey. So we have this ghost supper whereby we take a small amount of all the food that's been brought and we take it out to the sacred fire. That, again, is very symbolic of how we nourish those that have gone on, that have walked on. To the Native American, you hear it all the time, they say things like, we are all related. And that doesn't just mean I'm related to the African American people and the Asian people and the white people. It means I'm related to the rocks. It means I'm related to water and Mother Earth. That by being all are related, we honor and respect everything as sacred in this life, including those who have passed on. I wanted to read just a little something from Chief John Snow, the Stony Tribe. We believe that the Creator made everything beautiful in His time. We look upon stewardship, not in terms of money or profit.
I'm Shed Farley. I'm the proprietor, I guess, the cemeterian in in a small, well, semi-small compared to some of the big commercial natural burial grounds in Verona, Wisconsin, Dane County. As I was asked to do this presentation quite a while ago, and I've had kind of a back and forth. There's so much ground that could be covered that I kind of had to figure out where I'm going to put the walls. And after listening to the speakers we just had, I'm gonna voice my opinion. I could have listened to each and every one of them for an hour, and I feel they were, and I knew that they were dealing with the spiritual, that higher realm, which I will also address. But really, I'm the nuts and bolts guy. I'm dealing with, Dan Conlon, he made a remark that the soul doesn't rest in the body or rely on the body, but the body is a physical reality. So as I've been thinking, and that was just a good thing that kind of fed into my little introduction. As I was thinking, I'm the guy, I'm the blue collar guy. I deal with the physical reality, and the other thing that I had to do it. I mean, we have a cemetery, and I have to make, and I wanted to make sure that this isn't an advertisement for our cemetery. This is, I'm speaking, I feel very passionate about the way we do burials. I feel very passionate about the other things that Farley Center does. But I also feel very passionate on the need for natural burial to be an alternative, which many people still are unaware of. So I'm not going to, this isn't going to be just a plug for us. This is a plug for the others that are around. Countrywide, there's only 2 of us here to this degree in Wisconsin. So it's a plug for Circle Cemetery, as well as natural burial grounds around the country. So this isn't just going to be a presentation about natural passing, except for this. This is my plug. There'll be a little more, but so we are a nonprofit Farley Center, and attached to that is a cemetery. It's on the same land. We have about 25 acres of burial property, burial land reserved for a cemetery. We have different kinds of terrain. Most of it is wooded area. So anyway, as talking about the nuts and bolts of things, really what it comes down to me as someone who does the actual burials is what we call the final disposition. And it's referring to, it's kind of a legal term that refers to how you deal with the physical remains. So the burial, interment, cremation, removal from the state, and I'm not sure what that meant. I was kind of trying to do a little research, but the removal from the state meaning no longer under the auspices of the state, which death it allows, or other authorized disposition of a dead body or fetus.
We have Shed here who can answer some of the practical questions, or if you have other more esoteric questions. I just ask you to come up and ask them into the microphone and to try to keep your questions short and our answers short so we can cover as many of those as possible. And then I will wrap us up in about 15 minutes with a closing prayer and release.
Hi, my name is Patricia, and I tried to get my husband to come with me, but when he saw the picture, he said he couldn't imagine his children having to look at the shroud and going into the ground. And so I was just shocked because he's progressive and an environmentalist. So I think we have a lot of work to do. Therefore, I sent out the notice of this meeting with the details and the picture to as many of my family, assuring them that both Nick and I were in great health, but saying this is our wish. This is my wish.
I'm going to make a quick comment on what you just said. I get couples in all the time. Women are all over it. They are so much in favor of it. The men take convincing, and I leave it up to their wives to do that convincing.
Can you tell us more about state law? You've mentioned several things. I was surprised to hear you say that you could bury your mother in the front yard. I thought that was illegal. There were certain restrictions. And on the other side, what are the state laws about cemeteries that you mentioned? What's to stop an unscrupulous person or something from taking the money and then selling the land to a developer? So 2 types of state laws.
I'll answer the second question first. And the answer to what stops them is the law. So unscrupulous people, I mean, you have to be certified. There's licensing involved, there's certifications involved. I do 4 different reports to 4 different entities each year. Financial reports, how many we buried. We have an escrow fund that is required for every cemetery. And we are required to set it up for perpetual care. Nobody's ever going to guarantee that there will be care perpetually. That's a long time. But the intent is that, and also it does preserve the land in perpetuity for as long as there are records available, and we keep very strict records. It cannot change.
So that's the land preservation part of
That's
what
the
you
land
presented.
preservation part. It's also interesting, I had a group from northern Wisconsin come to me because they wanted to talk about establishing a natural cemetery. And they had a piece of land that had a conservation easement placed on it. And that is to also preserve it in perpetuity. And they were all excited about this until they found out that land easement is a legal form that is a tax savings because you're not paying the same taxes on it. Does not allow for any kind of development, and that includes a cemetery. They were very disappointed. I was very disappointed. Your first question, however.
Yeah, where bodies can be buried. Some of our
Oh, yeah.
religious people talked about wanting simple ceremonies and all that.
So every locality has their own rules on that. Generally speaking, we live out in a rural area. We're outside of a small town of Verona. We're 15 miles from Madison, more or less, and there's 43 acres. So it's the town of Springdale. We had to go to them and get permission to bury my mom there. And here's an interesting thing about it. So we buried my mom in the front yard. We planted a tree on it. We don't do that anymore because we have trees. And then we sat down with my dad and said, what happens when you go, Dad? And we live all over the country. What happens and we have to sell the property? And Mom goes with it. So that's when we all sat down. I have 4 brothers and poor Mom, right? No sisters. And we sat down with Dad, and that's where this concept came up of, okay, the house is going to be a community center because it always has been.